I kind of missed the Halloween music, but that's all right. Welcome to Stormwatch by GreyNoise Intelligence. Each week, we drop the latest info on what's happening at GreyNoise, take a look at a roundup of important and timely cybersecurity topics, and toss out some expert opinions, hot takes, and the occasional conspiracy theory. I'm Bob Rudis, and with me are my co-hosts, Kimber. How goes it today, Kimber?
It goes well. Has expert always been in your little intro? I really like that. Just
Yeah,
expert opinions.
yeah,
I
yeah.
don't
I
I don't
mean,
know. It
I
just
usually
hit
say
me a
it too
little
fast to
extra hard.
hear. Yeah, I usually just whip through it, but like I'm trying to slow down for the pod people. So
Thank you for the confidence boost this morning, Bob. That's
oh,
very
absolutely
nice.
expert. And did you have a great All Hallows Eve?
I did. It did. It was just a good spooky movie situation.
Oh, nice. What'd you
And that
watch?
was what did I watch? Oh, this creepy movie called Clown. Highly recommended if you have a clown fear.
I do have a clown
Y-
fear, and you're not
Yeah,
selling it very well.
yeah,
watch
and
it.
I'm not watching it then. That's no way.
It will help reinforce.
Oh, that's not great. And we also have Glenn. Now, Glenn, I gotta tell you. Well, first of all, like, good morning.
Good morning. I don't like where this is
Now,
going already.
I don't normally like to air like HR laundry out in public. I
Oh
could probably
no.
get in trouble for doing so. But I kind of need to know, and I'm going to talk to Kim about this later. Just how many hours a day do you dedicate to playing Wordle? Just how many?
Well, not very many because it only lets you play it once a day, which is the best move on their part. So, it's a
Glenn,
5 minute a day activity. But yes, I've been playing Wordle every day since it was
cool.
launched, and I'm addicted. And like, it's good for your brain. I'm trying to keep off the dementia. I don't want to be like you, Bob.
Look,
All right. Wow.
very
Go ahead,
important
Kim.
context of Glenn's day just absolutely being made by getting the luck of the Wordle draw today.
Oh yeah, first
Yeah.
try. Yeah, I'm retiring. Well, not really, but
Are you allowed to say what yesterday's Wordle was now that now that
It's
it's
an
not
answer.
yesterday? What
Yesterday
was that word?
it was trade.
Trade?
Yeah.
It's like a boring word.
Well, they're not hard words. They're 5 letters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Well, it doesn't have to be though. Like
and as
there's
a
a
data
harder version of Wordle.
scientist, sir,
Oh,
the Wordle
I'm just
bot, which does all of the analysis after the thing, after you solve, you would probably really geek out on. Just saying.
also,
Anyway,
probably.
both storm and watch are 5-letter words, so they've both been in Wordle at some point.
oh, noise was one last week.
There you go.
All right, so maybe I won't rag on it as much now. So
What's my
okay, maybe
starting
not.
word? Oh, okay. Well, yeah, we're going
Oh,
down.
are you going to share this? Because like, what if that? Oh wait, no, you don't have a starting word.
I don't have a starting word. I used to forever and ever, and then like thinking strategy and reading on strategy of Wordle. Yes, this is what I did, and it was like basically saying there's not an advantage to having a starting word because it changes, and so now I just literally randomly kind of rotate through whatever. And trade was top of mind because actually, my team won the World Series, and so baseball, trading, like so, trade's kind of been top of mind lately. And yes, I know we call it World Series because America is America, even though it's only American teams. Like I get it, I know, but nonetheless, I'm proud of my team after 61 years.
All
We
right,
have a
we're gonna
guest
get off
today,
this.
Bob. We should
Yeah, we
really.
are. We're gonna get there, and we're gonna get off this baseball topic really quickly. Sorry, everybody out there. So our co-host Emily is down with the plague. Emily, sending good vibes your way to get well soon. We need you back. It'd be great to have you back on just to counter Glenn's.
Clearly, we need you back.
Yeah. And also, as folks will see, and as other folks will hear soon, joining us today is the epic creator of CVECrowd.com. Constantine, welcome to the show.
Thanks very much.
Where do you hail from? Since we're all like these U.S. citizens, and you definitely don't sound like you may be a U.S. citizen. Where are you coming from today?
Okay, I hoped I could hide it a little longer that I'm not Native American, but I'm from Germany.
Very cool. I appreciate you dealing with the time differences and our dumb time zone
Yeah.
things we do here. It's just been I really appreciate the coordination you've done this and making time for this.
Yeah.
I have to call out
and
though. Constantine did share a little thing right before we started the show about what his evening plans are, which sounds amazing.
Yeah,
Should I say that again?
yes.
Okay.
Like so Constantine will probably have to bail, and it's for an extraordinarily good reason that I kind of want to bail and get on a plane and go do too. So like, what
Another
are you
reason
doing
why
tonight?
America's not.
Okay. No, so we're having a feast in Germany. Actually, it's on the 11th of November, but there are already feasts going on today as well, where kids build little lanterns and light them and walk through the dark streets because it's nearly evening here. So that's where I'm heading afterwards with my son. Yeah.
That is such a great tradition. I love that. That is so cool. And as usual, making all this possible, and literally the only reason it goes as smoothly as it does is our amazing Overwatch Ashley. Good morning, Ashley. And for folks who've noticed that we have transitioned from the pumpkin theme to a lovely fall falling leaves theme,
Well,
you
some of
again
us
have, I mean, like the cool ones have. Wow, I'm just being bad today. That is again thanks to the epic Austin Price, one of the best designers on the planet. So just thank you for that, Austin, as well too. For folks that are joining live,
I mean, I think
do
all
not
the
hesitate.
designers are pretty good, Bob, but whatever.
Yeah, but I think he's the best one of the world. Sorry. I
Oh,
mean,
wow.
I got faves. Sorry.
I tried to get you out of that hole, but
No, it's fine. I mean, the other ones are great. Like being number 2 when Austin's number 1 or like 1.1, like it's fine. Like no one should be upset about that. It's fine. So if you're joining us live, do not hesitate to heckle. Seriously, you can heckle us. We don't mind.
Clearly,
Or provide your insights, because the folks that have actually joined in and heckled or not heckled have been great, and we've been able to show some of your stuff that you've got. So there we go. And I'm going to go to the next slide real quick because I want to also make sure that everyone understands. Glenn, do you want to get it over with now? The URLs you want to get over with?
Oh, are you about to show our? Did you make them longer?
Oh, I have to actually show the actual thing, right? There we go.
Oh no, you haven't made them longer this week. I have faith you can do it.
Okay, very cool. So for folks, we do have a podcast. And hopefully, if you want to consume us via audio only, rest assured that we do provide the links that we talk about in the show, and the PDF, and transcripts, and summaries, and all the good things. A portion of which is done by our AI overlords. That's great. So we are going to dig in to today's topics, and we're actually going to start with the first topic. And I'm just going to show the screen first, but then I want to go back to the normal Hollywood squares we have, because I want to talk to Constantine about stuff. So just for folks that were on that were listening last week or watching last week, we talked about CVECrowd.com, which is, we have a vacuum because we no longer have the Twitter version of this because of Elon Musk. So Constantine jumped into the gap, like filled the gap in an amazingly great way. And now we have a very similar thing where we get to scour Mastodon. And I'm not going to talk about that much more because I don't know all the details about what goes on here to be able to go do that. So I am going to bring me back to everything here. So Constantine, for everyone maybe that hasn't visited CVECrowd or whatever, can you briefly explain what it is and what inspired you to create it?
Yeah, sure. So CVECrowd is a website that lists CVEs that are currently being discussed on the Fediverse. Currently meaning in the last 24 hours. And CVEs, I hope everyone knows what that is, common vulnerabilities and exposures. So vulnerabilities that are tracked with CVE numbers, and they're listed on the website. Should I go into details what the Fediverse is, or?
Yeah, actually, because so a lot of people still aren't on. So there are a lot of security folk and just normal folk who are on X still for some insane reason. So I'd be curious, if you could let people know like what Mastodon, like what the Fediverse is, like and maybe even some differences, and when and why you went there too.
Yeah, sure. So the Fediverse is a bunch of social networks that communicate with each other. So it's not like one centralized social network, but they're all over the place, very different social networks as well. The most popular probably is Mastodon, which is the Twitter alternative, actually. But there are many more, like Miski, which also is some sort of Twitter, PeerTube, which is YouTube, and Lemmy, which is like Reddit. And all of them can communicate with each other, so you can get posts from all the other instances as soon as you join one of these instances. And that's because they all support the protocol ActivityPub. That's how it's called. But I'm not I'm not a Fediverse pro. I just built. I just left Twitter because you already You already mentioned the guy. That's why I have
Oh yeah,
Twitter.
let's deep dive into why that. Okay.
And yeah, well, I missed the CVE trends. You already mentioned that one last episode as well. It's probably what the people maybe also know from before. So CVEtrends.com doesn't work anymore because Twitter made the API chargeable, so you had to pay for the access to the API.
Yeah,
I'm
it
hearing
was like
some
40
sort of echo.
Yeah, it was like $45,000 for a month, I think, for the
Yeah.
API
That wasn't
access, which
like a small charge
no one's going to be able to afford at all.
Exactly. So, but CVE Trends actually inspired me to create CVECrowd, which is the same on Mastodon or the Fediverse actually. Yeah, and I created it, or it inspired me because I found it really useful as long as it existed, and yeah.
So
as it went down, it left some sort of void, and that's why I made CVECrowd.
Yeah, it filled the gap really well. So, because of this federated nature, like it's like I've described it as like like bulletin board systems of old days could communicate very similar, where your Usenet of old days could communicate similarly. It's not nearly the same, but that's like there's just different instances. So, like, how do you actually gather up all this information, because it's literally spread across so many instances, and I'm just curious what you've done to be able, like, what's the tech behind this, like how do you get all this data on a regular basis?
Yeah, sure. I think it's less techy than you hope it would be. So I joined the instance InfoSec exchange, which is a great place for exchange of InfoSec topics. And I already saw that there are some discussions on CVEs there. So that was where the idea came from, to just crawl this instance and well, take the posts of CVE records and put them to a website and just collect them. But actually, it's just much more. Just by using the search API of InfoSec Exchange, it's possible to search all the instances that are federating with InfoSec Exchange. So as soon as somebody is posting something to an instance that's federating with InfoSec Exchange, I can search it on InfoSec Exchange itself. And federated means someone from InfoSec Exchange has to follow someone on another instance. And then posts of this instance will get federated to InfoSec Exchange as well.
So it's not exactly controlled by like who owns the federated server. It's like just whoever is following, like what the users are connected by, not necessarily like the server admins or something like that.
Exactly. So basically, it's the users. Of course, the admin has the possibility to suspend servers, for example, if they violate the rules or so. But it's basically the users. Yes.
Oh, that's interesting. See, I had a misconception about Mastodon that I just learned about. Was I thought it was servers connecting to servers, not users connecting to users.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is this affected by, because I know like the search of Mastodon or whatever Fediverse Mastodon. In my brain, I probably mixed the two words, but is it was a little at the beginning, a little not great, and now like you can go in and enable like your profile or your toots to be searched. Does that affect the way that CVE crowd works? Like, do you have to have that search feature enabled? Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yes. So the update to the search feature came with version 4.2, which is the latest version of Mastodon, I think.
Okay.
And well, we have a great instance admin who is Jerry, actually, on InfoSec Exchange.
Oh, Jerry's awesome. Jerry's
awesome.
Awesome,
Jerry, for sure.
And I think he already had a better search feature done himself, actually, before the real one came. So I could already search instance-wide for full text before, but this was not a feature of Mastodon. So I don't know what black magic Jerry is doing there, but as long as it's working, that's great.
Awesome.
But yes, with version 4.2, they overhauled the search, and yes, you have to opt in now to be searchable on the Fediverse. Yeah, so this is like a requirement for posts to show up on CVECrowd.
Okay, very cool. Yeah, so people should enable that if
everyone enable that. As soon as that was a thing when the upgrades happened, I made sure I did that. Were there any major challenges that you encountered when you first started to work on this and trying to get like V0.0.1 out?
So of course there are a lot of challenges coming with such a software project. I didn't have particularly really bad ones, I'd say. So first of all, I of course need to fetch CVE metadata somewhere. So there are two places to go there, like NVD, so National Vulnerability Database, or I hope I'm pronouncing it correctly, MITRE?
Yeah, MITRE, yeah, it's great. Perfect.
Yeah. Okay. So first of all, NVD was the main source for me because they had some additional information like CVSS scores. And I used MITRE just as a fallback. But yeah, now actually a user hinted me that MITRE has a new website, cve.org, that is. So before it was cve.mitre.org, which I was fetching the data from. And now they changed to cve.org and have a bunch of new data there, and it's much better than before, actually. So I overhauled everything again. Now I'm using the official, or the new one, the new format of cve.org of MITRE. That was some challenge I faced at the beginning. And as a side effect, because now I'm fetching the every information from CVE.org, is that the vendor and product names are capitalized correctly, which was something that made me really unhappy in the beginning, because it wasn't like that in the first versions. I know it's just a minor change, but makes a lot to like the
presentation. Basically
exactly.
the user experience. It helps a lot. That's great.
Exactly. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So Bob, I just want to point out that apparently URLs can get shorter. Just saying.
Thank you for that. If they're available, yeah, totally, Glenn. You could spend those 5 minutes on searching domain names, Glenn. Maybe. So when you launched it, what kind of like reception did the community give to, like, was there, like, I mean, I sort of know this because like when it launched and I found out about it, everyone was going nuts. And so maybe I'm ruining the reveal, but did it get a really good positive response from the community?
Yeah, a really positive response. So before this, I'd say I'd receive like maybe 20 likes or 30 likes for a post if it was a good one, actually. So this one went straight through the roof. It was like 300 times reblogged, 300 times liked, nice. Which is a lot for Mastodon. We have to say that to X people, maybe. But that was not everything, actually. I received extremely heartwarming feedback of the whole community, very nice words of everyone, how useful they find it, especially since Twitter went dark, or CVE trends went dark. So yeah, that was really awesome.
So I know that you provide on GitHub, there's a way for folks. So if you go to CVECrowd, everybody, and like the .com is displayed for the folks that can see it. It links to the GitHub where people can file issues for either issues or for like enhancement requests or things like that. Have you received a lot of feedback from folks in that form?
Yeah, I have actually introducing that or creating that GitHub repository was some feedback because
nice.
I didn't even have that, and I asked, would you like just a repository for committing issues? And they said, yeah. So there we go. And I've already received, I think, 7 or 8 issues there, which are sometimes just questions like, how is the search working? It's like the typical question, which I think I have to answer at some point. Yeah, and others are like feature requests, for example, add new scores like the EPSS score, or the KEV, sorry, known exploitability. No, what is it?
Known exploited vulnerabilities.
Oh yeah, exactly. That's it. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So do you have any plans for the evolution of this? I mean, it's already like extremely useful, and it provides a lot of great information right now, and it lets folks, like, I know I go there to see like what the chatter is about it, so that if someone's got a link that I might not know about or to dig into something, it really makes it easy for me to go do that. Do you have like a list of things you're planning on doing with it, or is it more as inspiration comes to you?
Yeah, I have a list which partly came just during development, like this would be nice to have, but well, let's just make it work at first, and then maybe we can make that later on. So if I wouldn't or would have tried to complete that list before, we wouldn't be talking, because it wouldn't still be live, actually. Also, there's some feedback from the community, which I'm happy to maybe implement. But first of all, I think I would like to have some sort of highlights. So maybe still from the Fediverse, actually, but posts that were really good, in the past, sorry, not in the future, just display them again when the CVE comes up again. That kind of happens pretty often. That CVEs from 2022, for example, come up again. And if I have the information already, why not display it again? So that would be an idea. Or maybe adding a larger graph, 30-day graph when the CVEs were displayed. And well, a pretty large thing to do would be to add more data feeds, actually, not just the Fediverse. You also told me that we could try to put Blue Sky in there. So post from Blue Sky.
Yeah, but Blue Sky is a similar Firehose API. It's not the API isn't similar, but the functionality is similar as to what Twitter/X had or has on there. And I'm using it right now to collect just all URLs that get posted over there. Yeah, I'm snooping on everyone's URL posting on Blue Sky. Everybody, everybody knows. But like we could do the same for CVE. So like that might be a great enhancement to kind of do in the future too. Yeah.
Yeah, so we could maybe add Blue Sky feeds, or I don't know if you just remember CVE trends. They had GitHub repositories with exploits, for example. They had Reddit threads. They had other stuff in there, which is really nice intel. And however, I'm planning to stay away from the large platforms, so I would not like to include Twitter stuff or X. Not really Reddit. Well, GitHub is like. There's no other place to go probably, but yeah, I just don't want to depend on the favor of some company's business model. That's the idea.
And Reddit is making it more difficult to even get RSS access to the channels over there, or whatever forums, whatever it's called on Reddit. Because I know they fail regularly, like when I'm trying to work with those. And so I hear you, like actually like trying to rely on a big corporation still being gracious enough to give you access to data is not a great thing to do. So the Fediverse is great to that because you don't have to worry about that at all.
Yeah, I mean we could use it as additional information maybe, but it shouldn't rely on that. Yeah.
Without like, I don't know if this is like secret saucy or what, but kind of curious about how it floats up the CVE. Like what does it use to rank the CVEs that when you go to the page, they're listed, left to right, top to bottom. I'm assuming that's in order of some kind of ranking and
sure.
So how does that appear?
No secret sauce. It's just the number of posts of different users. That's the first one. So I'm just giving like points. I think one post of a user gives 100 points, for example. Then if this is reblogged and favorited, that gives another boost to that one. And then the order of the columns itself is just the sum of the posts, actually. So it's pretty simple.
So
actually, that's kind of neat. It's like chatter.
Oh, sorry.
No, sorry. Like it's basically just like chatter. Then, like the chatter is is a large portion of what gets it to be further up in line. Is with that. That's kind of neat.
Yeah. So the more people talk about the CVE, that's the main factor actually. And if something is like reblogged, which is like retweeting 200 times or so, that's a huge factor then, but that doesn't really happen that often on the Fediverse or on Mastodon. I once had that Brian Krebs, so during development, Brian Krebs wrote anything about CVE, and this had like 200 reblogs, and that was when I realized it's not the good idea to just take the interactions into account, because a large account normally has just much more interactions than a small account, but I think the more people are actually chatting about a CVE, the more relevant it is, and not just because someone big shared something.
What's
so
the
really
time period? I'm sorry.
I was gonna say, so really it's like the best thing that people can be doing to help this out is to like go post about the things that are affecting their environments and like what they've had to do maybe to mitigate them, or if they've experienced any kind of, I don't know, they find it interesting, just something like that, just to actually post about it and mention that it's on their radar.
Yes, exactly. And also include the CVE number in their post, because otherwise I'm having trouble to find anything.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, what's the time period for the chatter or trending? You know, like I assume it expires out at some point, or
Yeah, it's like 24 hours and then it's gone.
Okay.
And after 12 hours, I'm reducing the score again by dividing it by 2. So
Okay.
just that more recent stuff gets pushed to the front. Yeah.
Very nice.
Does this take a lot of infrastructure, or because InfoSec Exchange is a smaller, it's not a tiny instance, but it's a small
Is
instance.
Jerry
and so
paying for this? That's what Bob's asking.
Yeah, like, well, like Jerry, what I mean, Jerry doesn't pay for this. Jerry pays for the instance. This is working off the instance. But
Yeah.
do you need a lot of infrastructure to do this work, or is it a minimal kind of requirements thing?
It's a pretty minimal requirement thing, which also comes from the design choices I made in the beginning. So it's just a static page, which I'm generating from time to time.
That's great.
So otherwise, I would have to do all the SQL. So I'm using SQL in the backend or SQL. I would have to do all the requests all over again if someone else is visiting the site. So I'm generating it statically. It's Next.js if someone's interested, and it's generated every 10 minutes. So no point in doing more refresh in a faster.
It also reduces the
way.
possible for like the API vulnerabilities too, that's a great decision. Like static wins over everything, but pretty much every time.
Yeah,
that's great.
And I think the server actually has 1 gigabyte of RAM, and it's okay up to now. So let's see when I have to improve that. Probably now after I said that, someone is going to trash it with requests or so.
Hopefully not. You know, and I'm like, unless Glenn or Kim, unless you have any other questions, I have one more.
I mean, if I guess my only question is, you know, this is super valuable to the community. So if it becomes a cost, you know, if it starts costing some real money, like definitely, like don't be shy about that, because I think everyone would.
Yeah, I will 100%. I will commit right now to joining in that fray.
Super helpful. I mean, we talk about it a lot, but organizations they need any intel they can get to prioritize their time, and this is yet another method. Especially the more people that interact and use it, like you were saying, this is another method to give folks another data point to figure out, like, I have 3 things to look at today. What should those 3 be? So it's helpful.
Yeah, sure.
So my Kimber, before I joke, do you have anything?
Yeah, it's all good.
Okay.
Like where this is going.
So my final one is like, so you've done a great service to the community. Like, this is huge. Defenders really appreciate this. And if someone, like, now that we've talked about this and you've explained a little bit about it, and people really do appreciate it, and someone might get into their idea, wait a minute, like, Constantine just jumped in and did this, and it's valuable, and it's helping people, and it's making a difference. What if they get their bug in their head to go do something, like maybe not CVE, like not do this, but something like they wanted to go do something? Do you have any advice for someone that wants to jump into this and start doing some development to create other types of services that will help the community out?
Yeah, it's a good question. So I think I cannot really give like advice on technical stuff, because I myself I'm not a professional software developer. I'm a pen tester. So maybe from my perspective, I can just give this to you guys if you're developing something. But you're maybe hesitating or so because you don't know if it's worth it, what you're doing. Just trust your intuition and do it, because I was thinking about creating CVECrowd for like 3 months now, and started like 1.5 months ago, because before I was like thinking 2 months, should I really do it? And is it worth it? Are people going to use it? And all this stuff, you know, and then I just did it some evening, started it, and well, it was amazing feedback. And yeah, so everybody who has some idea like this, just go ahead and do it.
That's awesome. That's great. Well, I don't want to keep you from your festival, and we really appreciate you taking the time, carving out time, especially at night, to come on the show, talk about this. Maybe we'll have you on in a few months to see what the evolution of the site looks like, and just to catch up on what's going on.
Sure, great.
Cool. Thank you.
Thanks for joining.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. Then have a nice evening.
Oh, you as well.
Oh, no, morning. Sorry.
Oh, well, yeah, it is.
You have a nice evening.
I'll have a nice evening now. Bye-bye.
Take care.
Bye.
That's just awesome. I mean, just like the selfless development, really simple, keeping it simple. That's just amazing. And yeah, so everyone follow the lead. If you have an idea, just do it. Don't hesitate.
So CVECrowd is the URL. I'm trying to think of his handle. It's
I have it.
Capone.
Yeah, and
APWN.
yeah, and InfoSec
On
Exchange.
InfoSec Exchange, yeah, definitely.
Yeah, it's great. It's just great.
And it being free. I think my most important takeaway from that is community participation is only going to make it better.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
It is fun to hear other people with product development challenges, Kimber.
I definitely appreciated that.
You know, he did a good job. I didn't actually realize it was static, and now he said that, and so I was trying to interact with the page. I was like,
yeah, it was great. It's clever. It's a
Yeah,
really clever choice because like it really makes everything a lot simple. All right, so I mean, technically that was a good topic, but keeping in spirit for the things that we do here, normal as we started the past couple ones, we're going to talk about something good to start to kick off the show for reals after the interview. Only because normally the rest of this is just one punishing thing after another, and maybe not be that today, but I don't want to get out of the habit. So I want to give a shout out to our UK security folk out there. I'm sure that the NCSC folk had something to do with this recent bit of legislation, if only the inspiration, but maybe they provided some advice as well too. So the UK government has actually, you know what? I need to put this up before I do that because I've not been looking at the thing. But we have a great comment from Matthew Sparrow. Love the site. That's not GreyNoise. I'm sure GreyNoise is loved as well, but this is for CVECrowd.com. Appreciate the shout out to Constantine, and I'll make sure Constantine sees that. They have a new coordinated vulnerability and every time I say coordinated vulnerability disclosure or CVD, I think of Todd Beardsley. So Todd, if you're listening, shout out. Like they have a new mandate. So for product security and telecommunication infrastructure, security requirements for relevant connectable products is like Internet of Garbage, Internet of Things. 4 things that you got to do. You got like mandates. You got to have a contact for security. Just if someone finds a bug or someone needs to report something, you got to have a contact info. It's got to be easily found. You have to acknowledge it, that you actually get it. I mean, these aren't hard things that the requirements here, people. You have to provide status updates regularly or upon request to like how you're handling that particular thing. And they got to be clear. So like no 10 pound, no $10 words, no shenanigans and comms, no talking around things, no using other words like Glenn doesn't like when people talk about like unauthenticated attacks. Basically just, be plain, just have a coordinated vulnerability disclosure. This is not hard, people. And I am so glad, especially for these opaque Internet of Things devices, that the UK has done this on the heels of the S-bomb stuff that's happening in the UK, in the US in the past like couple of years. So I am super thrilled about this. I don't know about you guys.
Yeah, like some of the details in this are, I mean, it's very like, it's just kind of a big duh, but that's a compliment. Where it says like you must provide this information for them in English, right, which makes sense, but also like free of charge without requesting all this personal information in a way that's consumable by the reader. So like it's just very like you need to be able to communicate, like have a way to share this information, receive this information freely, openly, clearly, cleanly, without all of this red tape and stuff. So I think it's a great start. I'm really curious to see how it goes.
Yeah, that we're seeing more and more of this come out, and it's interesting to see the other takes that other countries, not the US, because the US, while we have a ton of infrastructure, like so do other countries, so does the whole European Union. So like the UK, just let's see how they do it. I'm curious.
Well, it's nice especially for UK and smaller countries to see what they do, because they can be like, I mean this nicely, they're smaller, right? So they can be more agile. And so it's really good to see places take advantage of that where they can, and not use that as a crutch or whatever. So, and then it's something that larger countries, not that this is like a measuring contest, but it's just the way it is, that larger companies can use and learn from, hopefully, ideally, and implement at a much slower pace because they're larger. But for places like, especially like the UK, like absolutely go for it. And like I said, really want to see how this pans out, because it just makes sense, and that's awesome when things just make sense.
I think it'll be interesting too in this particular. I mean, the UK has a reputation of being, yeah, maybe draconian is like a strong word, but like the UK has a reputation of like being very security conscious, like
Privacy conscious.
privacy conscious.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm curious how this will play out in that atmosphere in particular.
Yeah, the one thing I'll add is this is something that everybody, like even if you're just running it, forget companies and forget Internet of Things, everybody that runs a website even, or you've got some app out there, but especially if you're a company with a lot of those things, there's something called security.txt. And if you throw that file up on your
Mhm.
website into a particular place, you can actually expose this information because that's what it's meant for. And start doing this like yourselves. Don't wait for legislation to kick in. It's great to be able to have a security contact at a site so that you can inform them if something is bad or not. You can hit up our new security.txt tag that we have to see just how many other folks are scanning for these files so that they can create databases and make it easier for people to
Yeah.
access this information. So this
This
is good stuff.
tag was so interesting to me.
Oh yeah, what's up?
It's just like I really like the idea of seeing who's scanning for that file in particular because you scroll through the organizations doing it and it's
It is
there's some good
interesting.
stuff
Yeah.
in there.
It is
I
kind of
was surprised.
interesting.
I was surprised by like I thought it'd be a handful, and I know like three of the places that do this for like for security stuff to do the dissemination, and it's a lot more than just those guys. There's a lot of folks doing this. It's really crazy. Sorry, Glenn. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say it is interesting to to capture that information versus accessing it when needed. So would be curious, like it's cool to archive and reference those changes and track those changes, which is maybe what some are doing to see when something changes. But um, yeah, I guess I haven't explored that tag in a minute to think about the quantity of folks like harvesting that. But it is, like everyone loved robots.txt, so let's bring in security.txt.
Yep, definitely. It's pretty cool. All right, so this was positive. This was great. All right, let's move on. Let's move on to the horror show. So breaking news, sort of breaking news. Anyway, I got to get a better graphic for that. I think I might know someone at GreyNoise that can make better graphics for things. So the first one is so we're going to start off with like active things that are bad right now that we're seeing active exploitation of recent things. They're all on like the page 1 of CVECrowd.com, and they're all recent vulns that you've seen either
Which
directly
was
from
not
us
on
or
purpose, by the way. We did
no.
not
I literally took a screenshot and put it in there. Didn't think about it
we
this
did
morning
not
as I was putting it on.
coordinate that our
Yeah.
things happen to match their things. That's just how good CVECrowd is doing.
Yeah, I totally didn't like put it 20 posts for each of these this morning before I took the screenshot. 100% did not do that. Anyway, I actually did not do that. The first one is the Atlassian Confluence server authentication bypass attempt. These are all in the recent tags on GreyNoise, but the links being dropped in there as well too. We got 5 IPs doing bad things. So if you're an Atlassian like runner, you didn't listen to Atlassian when they proactively reached out before there was a known proof of concept, before there was known exploit activity, made a really
On their
big deal out of
CISO.
this, and yeah, from their CISO and said, "Please, for the love of Henry, patch." I don't know what to tell you. Like you're now like forget it. It's all game over. And just to catch people up on this, so they have a great page on this, and we're linking to it. They're updating the page, which kudos to them because not all vendors provide updates. So I just got nothing but love for Atlassian in today. So the CVSS score is now 10. Probably because there's proof of concept code and there's actually active exploitation. It probably is pretty easy from what I understand. They had some confusion about the versions in the first one, and they may have coupled it. Like, so that's again, vendors aren't really great about this sometimes. So good on them for listing the versions that need to be patched and being more clear about that. And just they've been watching for exposure activity and exploit activity. So good on them for keeping it out and letting everybody know. And there's some mitigations that they've put in to be able to go do this. So I know. So Glenn, you are the critiquer of vulnerability announcements and patch announcements and whatever. What I mean, and we might need to have a rating system from you, like A through F or what
Hey,
numerical. I don't
I'm
know.
game for that. Which I'm gonna note, I just checked. This was just added to Kev today. which is not surprising. So
they wait. Todd, stop waiting until we have a show just to put something in Kev. Not fair, because now my graphics wrong. Thanks for that. Anyway,
I mean, Todd, the check's in the mail. Appreciate your work. Yeah, so we give them a hard time for the quantity and quality, honestly, of their vulnerabilities. However, these are big complex things. Like, we get it. Like, there's to right that ship is a very long, slow burn. But in this case, and I think we'll talk about some other disclosures here in a minute. It's great, right? Like, I do appreciate you kind of summed it up nicely, Bob, but it was a proactive notification. It had highlighted red font or yellow brick font of like, don't read past this, right? Because again, we're creatures of habit, and we see like, oh, vuln, okay, what's the CVS score, blah blah blah. So there were multiple call outs to the importance of this, and kind of interesting that it was focused on data loss. In other words, like just totally just wiping your instance. So if that doesn't make you move, like, that should make you move, like, I think in theory faster than ransomware, right? Because ransomware, you technically could get it back, but data wiping is gone. So I don't know. I don't know what could make you move faster than telling you that your Confluence, which is a repository of your company's information, could be just gone. Like, I don't know what tops that. So yeah, a good job on them as far as timeline and proactive attempts. It's the horse to water thing at this point. Like, you just can't make people do it if they're not going to do it.
Very curious what actor out there is chaotic enough to just yeet somebody's entire Confluence instance.
Well, there's a tag for this, and you can kind of see some source places, source countries. So yeah. And which I kind of have an idea for a blog on this at some point, but I want to point out, like, we talk about, like, there's 5 on Sunday, there was 3 IPs, and don't want that to look, I don't want that to appear minimized, right? Like, only 5, only 3, because those are small numbers. But also remembering the fact of our sensors are unadvertised, waiting for them to be found. And so 5 IPs finding these sensors in the vast, network of the internet is substantial, because that means it's literally opportunistic being attempted across the board. So don't mistake, 1, 5, 3 in GreyNoise visualizations as being minimal.
Yeah, they're hitting a ton of our sensor fleet. Like, so we have
and we don't take a 1-to-1. Like, we have
we have formulas for this.
Yeah.
No, that I just went and looked, and destination country Ukraine being number 1. That's
exactly
there. You go.
It is. And I want to, Bob, I sent this to you right before the show, but there was a downtick yesterday, and chatting with Dan Gooden on Mastodon yesterday, and he was kind of asking about it, and then I made a joke about maybe yesterday was a holiday because it started back up again today, and then someone pointed out that yesterday was a holiday in a certain country. So
yep.
Anyway, that's interesting.
There you go.
Very interesting.
Very cool. Joining the fray of tags this morning is the Apache ActiveMQ. We're seeing 24 unique IPs attempting to do bad things to this. I was actually really shocked. I don't know why. I don't know why I'm shocked that attackers are going after this, because there's so much other things to go do. But if you can get access to the queues, you can do all sorts of fun things. So I totally get that. And it is remote code execution, so it is pretty bad. I guess I would just implore folks, like, if WireGuard is a thing. I don't care if you, and there's other VPNs, but WireGuard's the coolest, newest thing. And I don't care if you use Tailscale or something, but you should, if you need to comms over the internet from one system to another, you don't need to put it on the internet anymore. Most everything supports WireGuard. You can put WireGuard proxies out there, and it'll do this. You can make things safe by just getting it off the internet. So I just don't understand why these things are on the internet anymore.
That's maybe like the summation of everything ever.
Everything. Like, just stop having public IP. Maybe we just need to get rid of public IPs.
I'm fine.
Mesh nets only.
and Emily, if you're listening, just and I will obviously give you this in the show.
Wow, you're
for
giving
your
her
things.
work to do while she's sick.
I was going to ask questions today. I'm just preparing. So we actually had a press inquiry about Confluence. Great question. The press doesn't always ask great questions. But this was a great question. Literally, why are there still unpatched Confluence servers on the internet? Do not answer that. We will cover this next week if you guys want to answer. But the same thing for ApacheMQ, and I was going to ask Emily. So don't answer. We're going to talk about next week. Why does Emily think, and why do you all think that people still put these message queue things and these comm services like this on the internet? So just hold off. Everyone stay tuned to next week.
To feel alive again, Bob. Just to make it a little spicy.
So Justin just wants the NSA to collect their data, and you know what? Why not? See, the thing is, you're causing my tax dollars. Yeah, but our tax dollars go up because now we got to pay more taxes for more hard drives for the NSA. So no, I don't. I'm sorry, not happening. And lastly,
what was the old meme about just trying to make your NSA agent's life a little better by maybe sharing some crazy shit?
Yeah, just make the storyline a little more interesting.
Yeah, they probably have a really boring day. I'm just trying to help.
That's my advice to everyone today.
I would hope the NSA has boring days. I want the NSA to have a lot of boring days because I don't want the world to blow up. Thanks, I'm good. I'm really good. And lastly, I don't know if we want to go into detail, but I just want to warn everybody, if you're not using the platform or using the block list, we have one observed IP going after CVE 2023-46747, the F5 RCE, one of the many F5 RCEs that are out there. I didn't have any extra commentary, but this was important enough since we're seeing, for all the recent vulns that have been in Kev, we are seeing continued active exploitation of them. It's not good. It's really bad for defenders out there. It's a really bad time of year for this to be happening too, because everyone should be cycling down, getting ready to enjoy the holidays. But no, you have to worry about this kind of stuff.
I don't know anymore. It's like we need defensive depth firewalls on firewalls for firewalls, firewalls for IP, for load balance. It's just all.
And you have to rotate which is in front so that whichever they're going after is not the one that's at the beginning of the chain.
It's called the security onion.
Yeah, we're back to the 98 model of security.
Yeah, we're basically doing WireGuard all the things. All right, we also need to go back to the future. I was hoping not to have to revisit this theme. I in some fit of optimism thought that we wouldn't have to talk about Okta again. But here we are. So if you go to sec.okta.com/harfiles, the links go up. I'm just saying it out loud, so in case you want to follow along. So I think it's okay. Glenn, Kimber, did you think it was just limited initially to the folks that came out and talked about it? Did you think that this wouldn't be a thing? Did you? I just need to know that before we go on with this one. Did you believe we were done?
No.
Okay.
No.
Yeah, correct. No.
Okay. So it's now we got MailChimp, Metro PCS, T-Mobile. I forget what I really should put. I don't know what
seen
that's
the T-Mobile one actually for this.
Yeah, it's in the thing in Verizon. So 126 more have joined the fray. Not all have actually had compromises. So I'm actually going to jump to the next slide and do a little read. So I'll try to put a summary together. It's in there. You'll be able to read it. So the most recent Okta breach affected 134 customers, or less than 1% of Okta's customer base. The breach occurred the actual incident occurred between September 28th and October 17th, when a threat actor gained unauthorized access to files inside Okta's customer support system. Some of these files were HAR files. So I just want to pause for a second there. We've been focusing on the HAR files. What else was taken? What else did they get in their customer support system? The HAR files I get, they're really juicy. That's all we know about now. And I know that they've been used to try to do other things, but this is, I don't like this word, some. I don't like that word, because that was in there, that was in the text of the thing. That's why I pulled it out. But anyway, which could be used for session hijacking attacks. Prominent victims of the breach include Cloudflare, 1Password, Beyond Trust, and some other victims are that's Twilio. That's what that circle was for. That says Twilio and MailChimp. But T-Mobile, Metro PCS, Verizon, Slack, Twitter, Coinbase, Microsoft, Epic Games, Evernote, Best Buy. They've observed people trying to use these tokens, but they've said that there's nothing wrong. Okay, sure, we'll see. next year, and they just keep watching the Form 8Ks for the ones that are public. And so Okta itself in this time frame also experienced a third-party breach from Right Way Healthcare. More like Wrong Way Healthcare. Am I right? Am I
Oh
right?
no.
So that resulted in the exposure of sensitive health information of almost 5,000 Okta employees, but did not impact Okta services or customer data.
Poor employees.
Yeah, I mean, the security team was already like in the dumps. Now, like, 5,000 other employees are also in the dumps. And I just, speaking of employees and speaking of management and speaking of companies responding to breaches and things. So, during our investigation into suspicious use of this account, Okta Security identified that an employee had signed into their personal Google profile on the Chrome browser of their Okta managed laptop. Bradbury wrote. The username and password of the service account had been saved in the employee's personal Google account. So this, for the people that aren't tracking this, following along, this hasn't been top of mind. You're like, I listen to Stormwatch so that you'll tell me these things. Basically, someone created a second profile in Google Chrome, their personal one, did not switch back to their work one when actually accessing work-related things. And also, for some reason, there isn't a group policy or a centralized or MDM policy on the systems at Okta that prevents using the browser's local password storage for credential storage. And when they logged into their work system, where it's admin level things, it's saved to the personal store, the credential store in their profile for their personal one, which means when they go home and use their garbage equipment at home that they don't secure because no one does at home, that's probably where the attackers actually got access to this thing. So this was most likely the avenue. And you can read, this is Dan Gooden's got it's great. The title's great. I'm not going to ruin it. You got to go read it.
Yeah,
and
go read it.
And you need to go to the URL. Dan, you did a great job on this one. And I'm going to start off with like shame for trying to put the blame on one person.
This is such a hard, shame for blame for one person.
Are you saying
yes. My thing is shame for Okta for trying to blame, or not directly, but like just by doing this like corporate speak, trying to blame one human being for making a mistake, a bad choice as well.
I think that this is a very honest answer. This is such a hard enterprise problem to solve. Like, seeing this happen in multiple enterprises over time, it's something that's hard to manage within Chrome itself. Like, it's something that not a lot of people think about because it's just so natural to like have those multiple Google Chrome profiles on there. It's like a convenience. Like, I guarantee you everybody in the IT department has a Chrome browser open with their personal thing logged in. And like, your Chrome management policies don't apply to those profiles. So you have to do it in group policy. But if you have Macs on your fleet, then like, how are you doing it to the max? And if somebody's running Linux, how do you manage that? Like, if you're IT, it's a hard problem to solve, is all I'm saying. And I think it's a very honest share from them because people need to be on the lookout for this stuff.
Well, I think that, so I agree with everything that you said, Kimber. Where I think it's more of a organizational issue is the fact that, especially of any business, it would be an identity management business, but that anything in a HAR file is enough to get that any system within the organization, a single HAR file allows you access to, right? Like, so not locking it down by, either quick rotation of creds, constant rotation of creds, or, locking down by IP or agents or something like that, right? Like some kind of second layer. I think that's where I'm more surprised. I'm less surprised about the way that this happened and more surprised that it was possible the way this happened. I don't know if that tracks, but
I guess like the other thing that I've seen from these personal Google accounts is malicious extensions. So people will log into their personal Google account like on a Chrome thing, and the malicious extension is like causing stock alerts all the time, always. So
like you can't, you can't log into your bank from, if I fly from Dallas to Seattle and then try to log into my bank, it's going to be like, hey, this is different. Like, re-verify yourself. And that's kind of what I think about these these session IDs in the har file, which allow the access, is, you know, there's other things that have changed that should trigger, again, for like, I'm not saying like this is for a dentist office level security, this is for identity management level or company business. There should be more triggers than just this long string.
Yeah, I think my viewpoint is just Chrome is a vector. Just do Chrome is an
I'll give
absolute
Chrome
vector
credit for
things.
their constant updates, right? Because there's an O day every day, but no one cares
Mhm.
because they have a good update mechanism.
Like just functionally, it allows so many things of the like personal user themselves to just mess up, including this stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the one thing, just so yeah, the now weekly updates, and for all of my GreyNoise work colleagues listening, yes, I do see the update available button on your Chrome every time we Zoom. I see it all the time. There are weekly updates, so it isn't just for security. So there's an insidious thing about this. Like, you kind of need to do it for security, but they're doing the weekly security updates because we're not going to go into this, but I need to tell people this, that like they're doing it because they're about to enable, without you being able to stop it, a whole ton of extra stuff that's going to be able to track you better on the internet. Like, this is part of an insidious plan. So I guess we're in the conspiracy theory mode of the show. It's part of the insidious plan to basically enable the tracking. It just like I am on a crusade against this. I mean, it's not like it's a light crusade. It's not like a big crusade. It's a tiny crusade, but it's a crusade. And so just don't. And Chrome is the problem. Like Chrome, like the almost like solo ecosystem of that being the browser of the internet, with WebKit still being behind and only being where it is because of iOS, and Firefox. We won't go into my views on Firefox. So yeah, like Chrome is the problem. And I don't. And to Kimber's point, that was really well stated. And I don't know how to fix this, because MDM gets you somewhere on the Mac, but like you don't get it for Linux, like you said. That was a really great point. And like I don't know how we you know what, we keep saying it. We're gonna have Reed and Frank on, and we're gonna talk about endpoint stuff. We're gonna do this. We're having them on. You are gonna get the some of the smartest folks I know in IT coming on the show to
Reed
talk
and
about
Frank heard it
this
here
stuff.
first.
Yep. Yeah. So like now to see how much scotch I owe them for this. Moving on now, back to our regularly scheduled programming. Let's try to get through this. The show is running a little long. Glenn pointed out to me earlier this week, I think. Yeah, it's Tuesday, so yesterday. Wow, this is gonna be a great week. Great week.
Good sign.
QNAP has 2 more OS command injection vulnerabilities. This isn't great if you have QNAP on the internet. I mean, just make it admin, just so they can just log in and not worry about doing vulns. I mean, seriously, just make it easy, because that way your stuff will be more stable. Let them use it for whatever they're going to do, and like just don't put sensitive files. I don't know what to tell you. Like, there's nothing on there, and we're mentioning it.
Bob's opinion.
And I'm bringing this out there because, like, on the next, I have next screen up for the folks that can't see it, and you'll see the slides. I mean, we have 5 tags, and 4 of them, like, almost every single day, see activity, whether it's an SSH backdoor attempt or a worm attempt or another CV attempt or an LFI. This is going to go into that. Like, this is going to be one more on the pile. There's one more on the pile. And like, seriously, if you, I'm gonna put Matt's thing up. Hey, Matt, don't put these on the internet. Talk to your friends about not putting them on the internet. Like, talk to your community center about, like, just don't do this. Get them off the internet and patch them when you can, and try to subscribe to the security updates if you can, to be able to go do that. Do you guys have anything more? Because I was already just really mean to the people that run. I wasn't mean to QNAP. I was actually mean to the people that run QNAP. Like, do you want to salvage that for me? Just let me die.
I'm just going to lead us right into the next story, which is, but Bob, the vulns don't last very long. You can just ignore it long enough, and they won't get exploited in a while, right?
Wow, I owe Glenn for that segue. That is a masterful segue. That's actually kind of beautiful, Glenn. I'm going to note that in your performance review. Ben, I think it's Ben Nahorne. I have no idea how to pronounce the name, Ben. Sorry. From Cisco in the security blogs. Go read this. Links up. We're not going through the entire article. It's the myth of the long tail vulnerability. I thought Ben did a great job talking about, like, and what's really one reason why I liked it. It was a longer form dive into what Kimber thought up last year for our inaugural report about the vulnerability hype cycle, and this is kind of a more in-depth thing of it. But it basically riffs from that. I could hear in the voice inside the text channeling you, Kimber, for this. And Kimber has Kimber takes time out of her day from her overseeing product stuff to hang with us on our crazy little Stormwatch thing. So Kimber doesn't get a chance to plug into things before. I'm not sure if you had a chance to go through this, Kimber, but what are your thoughts on this long tail vulnerability thing?
Oh, the hype cycle is so real. The hype cycle is hilarious and a thing and very predictable, etc. There's a cycle, but because there is a hype cycle, there is no long tail vulnerability. It's either up and down, like a blip of activity, and then it's done, like maybe echoes every once in a while, or it's just blasting, just perpetually. I mean, go Bob, next slide.
Yeah, so we're gonna go through so we're not gonna go through there's a bunch of slides. We're not spending a whole lot of time on them. I will just state what they are so that you may be enticed to go into the PDF to read it for the folks that are just listening. So I'm just gonna the one quote I took from it is, what emerges from looking at vulnerability alerts over time is that while there is sometimes an initial spike in usage, they don't appear to decline to a negligible level. So instead, vulnerabilities stick around for years after their initial disclosure. I will note the ransomware Kev chart that we showed last week, which shows a vuln from ages ago still being active today. So why do old vulnerabilities remain in use? One reason is that many of these exploitation attempts are automated attacks. We might know a thing about that a little, both attacking and receiving attacks. Bad attackers routinely leverage scripts and applications that allow them to quickly run exploit code against the large swaths of IP address space in the hopes of finding vulnerable machines. And boy, so the first Ben leads off with log4j. Okay, that's easy. We do that too. We do that too. That may cause, but and Ben's history goes back for we will go back in time to show you things every so often. It's a little more difficult for us to do that because we're a product and not only research firm. But going back to 2021, log4j, consistent activity in what Cisco sees in their customer logs. Spring for Shell, not a lot to begin with, and I believe this is probably when a major POC happened, around 04 or 22. Bam, it goes off. They see it in the customer logs. Shell shock. I hate the fact that this is still a thing. I hate that shell shock is still a thing. I hate that we see it on a regular basis. Bam, kind of see it all the time. This is just reinforcing what Kimber just said. I did not look up what CVE 2022-26134 is. Did anyone do that while we were talking? Because I don't think anyone did. If anyone out there wants to do us a solid and post that, I'll be glad to tell you what that is. Again, constant activity for that. Proxy shell. Hate the fact that this is still a thing. Stop running on Exchange servers. Give Microsoft all your money or go to someplace that runs better mail servers. PHP unit. Gosh, we see this all the time. I hate the fact that this isn't baked in so many things. Again, same case is nonstop. And I'm just glad Ben's article's out there, reaching a different user base, customer base, human base, getting this word out so that more defenders realize that you need to use this to talk to your internal folks about vulnerability management. Use this to get more resources. Use this to get more time with analysis. I don't know if you need more product necessarily, but you use this to basically help get your program what you need to defend against these things. These is great stuff. It corroborates everything we see, so they're not making stuff up because you have to worry about that sometimes with vendors. But Ben did a great job. Cisco usually does a great job, and we usually do a great job too. So just take this information, use it. Don't make it. Don't assume that you're not gonna have to worry about vulnerabilities years afterwards. And we've been sort of on repeat about this over the past few storm watches about how watch for backups, etc. But do you guys have any more advice for folks in this particular respect?
The oldest vulnerability that we see is from 1999. It's X11 Windows. So don't think that anything is too old for this. There is
Switch to Wayland. Switch to Wayland. Switch to Wayland. Oh, sorry.
Hey, Bob, that vuln number is unauth RCE and Confluence.
I'm sorry. There you go.
There you go. From June of 22, by the way.
Yeah. I know. Yeah, it's another. It's another.
Yeah. Not the recent one.
Yeah. next section is more of just a FYI, because a lot of defenders are heads down. You don't get a chance to plug in. You trust vendors to do all like the wiring bits together. But there's also researchers and other folks listening may not have been aware that the Common Vulnerability Scoring System group at First has finally promoted version CVSS 4 to full-on status. There'll be a transition period from the 3 to the 4. We got the link up for it here. I just wanted to cover some of the highlights. I'll pause a little bit in case anyone wants to comment on this. And what I will also say is if anyone would like, any defenders that use this internally or any researchers that are doing things are using CVSS as part of the research efforts you do, don't hesitate to reach out to us. Like the contact info is pretty easy on our site. You can get to us anywhere. And we'll be glad to talk to you about it on the show or just talk to you offline. And whether you like these changes, whether you want to see more, what you're looking forward to in new ones. So the first one is the intent was for increased simplicity and clarity. This new CVSS4 aims to simplify the scoring process and eliminate ambiguity, providing clearer guidance and definitions for the metrics. It fine-tunes the ideas of attack complexity, which this is a good thing they've done that, and attack requirements, which is going to help us understand how to actually write tags for things. So I'm looking forward to that. And also making the scoring process more understandable. The changes assist in more precise vulnerability assessment and ensure uniformity among various organizations. I'm curious to because I know you both are CVE experts because you read these reports all the time. We haven't seen anything really in 4.0 yet, but like, have you found the complexity or like the wonkiness in the existing CVE reports is it useful? Is it a waste? Is this simplicity going to be appreciated by you? I'm just curious.
I think it's hard for me to say just because like I've gotten so used to it that I don't really think too much about how complex it is. But I think the revisions I saw in like the defining complexity might make things a little bit more clear because of how we're seeing just people like to debate like is an 8.5 really that different from a 9.8 or something like that. So I'm hoping that that's what'll get addressed in some of this update.
Yeah, I at the end, I don't know. Like, I think for maybe the 80-20 rule or something applies here, but for a great majority of people, they don't look at anything but the score, the end result. And I know this adjusts that algorithm or that total score in some ways by adding some more qualifiers to it. But I don't think that this matters for most people. They just care about the end score, which is a whole nother conversation topic. Also, part of me is the like old man yells at cloud meme because it's just like, okay,
Yes.
fine. And then part of me is like, okay, it would be nice though if we had some more like ways to adjust the calculus on this. So I honestly don't know. I feel like I'm just kind of like, all right. And to Kimber's point, maybe that's because like we're used to it because we're in this world. And obviously like want to have constant improvements and attempts of improvements and iterations and whatever on how we judge these things. But I don't know. Like cool.
I think the addition of all the OT stuff in there is actually pretty important. That's probably a really good update to have because that was the thing that stood out for me.
And so they also renamed the temporal metric to threat metrics. That's just a simple name change. The remediation level, I don't even remember reading these because I haven't been in Defender space where I had to care about this in a long time. So this is one thing I wanted to hear from folks. Like, did you actually use this part of here? My gut call is most orgs use the CVSS score and they don't even make it apply to their org. They don't take their org's view of it. So we'll see.
Nobody used it.
Well, and also, most people are using a product, right? Like, and the product uses the score, which is just the 10, the 9, the whatever. So, I mean, I would wonder, like, is there 50% of folks that actually don't even know the math to get to the score, right? Like, it's just.
It is one ugly looking formula, I will say. So I wouldn't be surprised they don't either.
Actual calculus.
Yeah, it actually is, unfortunately. So there's also improved guidance for CVSS analysts. Basically, you now have more information so that when you're actually trying to write up a vulnerability report and apply all these things, you should be able to get to a better score and actually provide better information there. I think that's a huge thing that is going to have a major improvement on this across the board. Now this one I'm a little confused about, and I don't know how we're going to adapt to this at work, because we do show CVS information, or we are in 2024 probably showing a lot more CVSS information. So this whole multiple CVSS scores for the same vulnerability, I don't. So, and we won't dig in this because we're over, or we're almost over, but we've been over for like 14 whatever.
Oh, we're
But like,
over.
yeah, but so we can't go into this now. Actually, you know what? We aren't. I'm not game ask yet. I'm just gonna go through this and we'll get to the rest of it. It does provide stuff for other sectors, which is one reason why Kimber was happy, because OT is finally going to get coverage in here, and we're going to get visibility into a space we may not necessarily get a lot of visibility into. And we are talking about the simplicity and clarity. So a couple FYIs. So we're not digging into these at all. That's why I left them after the meaty topics. Microsoft, yes, I'm saying something nice about them, and foreign policy, which I sub to, created a ebook, but I can. You can't. I'm gonna go live.
Oh, I
You can
thought
see
you
it's.
loved trees. This is weird.
I do love trees, but I also sub to things because I like to read the tactile feel of things. It's great. And I also read instead of playing Wordle. So there's that thing. You might want to do that. It's about digital front lines, sharpened focus on the risks of and responses to hybrid warfare. Just real quick. So in addition to deepening understanding of hybrid warfare, this publication seeks to identify opportunities for collaboration across government, industry, and civil society to mitigate cyber's potential destructive impacts. There's contributions from experts in government, multilateral institutions, non-gov, and the private sector, along with foreign policy analysts. And all this underscores the need for sustained communication and coordination to adapt to the changing nature of warfare and effectively respond to the risks emerging from cyber operations. And honestly, this was weirdly well timed to come out right after a lot of really massive cyber ops were happening in a certain region of the world due to something that happened literally a month ago today. And we saw some of this happening when the Ukraine conflict started. So it's really worth reading. Like, normally these are kind of throwaway things. I thought they did an excellent job, and we'll talk about this on a future show. Just grab that, read it. The link's up there. It's free. We aren't going to talk about this because I'm going to try to talk to the Wiz folks, because they're partners of us. We love them. They do great work. But there's a great article on 8 questions to measure vulnerability remediation pain. It's a great post. Yeah, this is a great post.
Like, people, the links on the screen and the PDF and stuff, but I think folks should read it, and we can talk in detail.
So like
about
it's a future episode. I just want to tee it up so that everyone knew. It's more important for you to read it than listen to us blather about it. So I want you to get this. But you know what? I something that you sent earlier, like I think it was like midweek last week or maybe late last week. I thought that VMware did a great job, like simplified vulnerability remediation pain. What a great, and so also, yes, there's CV 2023-34048. Yet another problem with VMware. Yay, because it always has something. They have a great flowchart which says start. Question, is vCenter server version equal to 802 or 7.0U30? What a great version number. Yes, and don't do anything. No, you must patch. It's a flowchart. It's a literal flowchart for something that should have been a bullet point. But props to them for adding some color, adding some charts. But that's simplifying it. Yeah, it's great. I want to call it out. Just like you should read it for nothing but that, if you want to read their thing. Glenn, do you want to talk a bit about what you and Emily are up to?
Yeah, a week from tomorrow, there is Census is hosting a threat hunting workshop, along with a happy hour that follows in McLean, Virginia. I don't know. I'm from Texas. Blame me,
Mr. Clean, Virginia.
Okay. And this is Census's thing. It's hard to say. We kind of crashed the party, so Andrew Morris and I will be out there and showing a little bit of our GreyNoise data and how that plugs into threat hunting and how you can use that to pivot to Census. So sad that Emily can't be here today, but hopefully she's feeling better for next week for her workshop.
And Emily, check is in the mail for getting Glenn on my hair for 2 days. Appreciate that.
Oh yeah, no, I'll find a way to find you. Actually, I'm just getting closer to you, so.
Yeah, actually, everyone, just so you know, Glenn finds a way to not be around during Patch Tuesday, so I got to deal with it. Just everyone, just realize that. Okay, just realize that. I want to shout out to Lacey Caston on the blog. We have a new blog out unveiling the deceptive world, honeypots versus honey tokens. They are confusing to folks that aren't in this space. This does a great job explaining it. Please go do that as well. We're not going to dig into this at all, but we love to talk about our tags. I'll get links up for all these in some other places than just here. I think it's Daniel Card asked for these, so I hope Morris gave you the link, Daniel, if you're listening. But if not, here it is. We have some very high level categories that we can summarize across all of GreyNoise, and I have done that in an observable notebook, so you can actually see, just how many of our IP addresses are potentially spoofable or not, like how many across one day or the entire time range we have, how many things are coming from VPN, et cetera, et cetera. You can go to thing, dig into it. I find it interesting, and it also caused me to make Glenn do more work. So I need to keep asking questions about stats so I can toss more work on Glenn's way. I appreciate that. We have actually talked about almost all of our tags that we've got. So I didn't mention the ads. Along with our security text scanner, we have an ads.text scanner because Google and a bunch of those go after this one, and it provides information about ad stuff. You might want to go scan for some of that yourself. 5 other ones that you can grab at our recent view. It has been 0 days now since the last CAV release, but it was 5 as of this morning. We've covered all of these today, so this is the F5, the one of the 5 we don't have, and then the ApacheMQ. Bam, that's great. We are not going to talk about this. I'm going to read the paragraph, but I want to shout out again to CISA for launching the Critical Infrastructure Security and Resilience Month. So this is not Cybersecurity Awareness Month. We are done with Cybersecurity Awareness Month, and we're now in Critical Infrastructure Security and Resilience Month. So providing a great focus on this. They've got very accessible resources, and they actually reach out to us citizens directly, not necessarily the company. So I suggest go reading it because I think they did a phenomenal job making this an accessible resource.
They missed an opportunity to just say CISA launches CISAR.
Then they would need to be sure, something like that. So I don't know, maybe. Our Overwatch asked us to talk about Cyber WarCon. Go to Cyber WarCon. The links are up here. We are going to be at it. Morris will be showing new secrets. We have added some cool things to Sift and some other things, and he's going to be showing them off there to them first. We've seen it internal. Those folks that get to see it, go there, see the things, talk about it. It's really cool stuff. If you're an audio listener and if you go to, I want you to go to cyberwarcon.com. You can read the PDF or watch the show. I really love the Army people with the computer. I really love that. I think I actually really want that desk with the person typing at the computer at the desk. And finally, we are on Discord. We'll drop links where it goes. I just don't put them in here because it's like they often don't work if I do that. So I just want to make sure that folks know you can talk to us there or on a community Slack or hit us up on Mastodon. I think some crazy people are still on X. Go hit them up there, but we're everywhere. And I'm going to bring back to myself to the screen. And so in closing, do you have any cool Thanksgiving plans? Because we're going to talk more about the actual Thanksgiving toward the end of the month. But Kimber, do you have any Thanksgiving plans?
Just a big old family rager. That's the plan.
Cool. All right, so we will get into details. Be prepared to answer fave Thanksgiving foods over the next couple of weeks. Just prepping you guys ahead of time. And Glenn, do you have any big Thanksgiving plans coming up?
No, just hanging pretty close to home. Hopefully pretty chill. Hopefully some rest. Hopefully the vulns stop coming.
We have very different Thanksgiving experiences.
What do you
I'm like family rager. You're like rest, relaxation.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's a topic for another day. But yeah.
Before I answer mine,
I should tell you, I won't be here next week because I'll be traveling for the workshop. So you're welcome.
Awesome.
You're welcome.
We hopefully Emily is back for that, and maybe we can have someone else on because Matt needs to talk about some cool stuff he's doing, and he's been great. Everyone that has
Emily won't be on either, actually.
That's right. Emily won't. That's right. Emily won't be on.
He's traveling for the workshop.
Kimber, it's you and me. We got. You know what? I think next week is conspiracy theory only day.
Oh no!
Yeah. Yeah,
all conspiracy all the time.
I think this is it because we have them. We do have them. Before I talk about my Thanksgiving thing, I'm going to surprise our Overwatch. Ashley, got any big plans? Because I know you can type and I can read. So, do you have any plans for Thanksgiving? Because you're important. Like you are the reason why the show exists. I've DOSed Ashley.
You have. It's
She
true.
probably moved on to another meeting.
Yeah.
Wow.
She just
Okay. All right.
mom.
Ashley's abandoned us. Overwatch is gone. It's terrible. Oh no. Hopefully, does this mean we do not have? Oh.
Oh.
Crap! I'm not ready for this. All right, fine. I will let you put in before I give my thing. Put in the quote of the show, because I know you probably got one.
She already did. You missed it.
Oh, yeah, because I'm reading more like wrong way healthcare. I'm like, oh, thank you. I got the one today. I never get one. Thank you. I appreciate this.
We need to track this.
Actually, answer it next week, because last kid and mine. We have I would just say we have an odd Thanksgiving this year, because my oldest at home son is going off to have Thanksgiving with friends, female friend actually, and their fam, and
okay,
my spouse is going to visit both one of her friends and her parents, who her dad's not doing well, so she's spending time down there, and we don't want to do it, and we're not doing that, so it's me and number 4 hanging at the house. First time ever that being a thing where the fam has that a decent chunk of the fam has not been together. So I think we're going to get Chinese food for Thanksgiving.
Oh, kind of love it. A little almost
Yeah.
Christmas story kind of situation.
Yeah, I mean, we decided that we're going to just do it different. So I will probably have more details on that, but this is going to be an usual Thanksgiving. So I will also probably be manning the GreyNoise watch during
But you
that
love to
time.
cook too, so that's kind of complicated for you.
I am actually cooking an entire Thanksgiving meal the weekend before. So yeah,
Oh,
it's not that we're not going to have Thanksgiving, but like on Thanksgiving will be the most
It's just a
unusual
day.
Thanksgiving ever.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Well, I thank you to everyone that chimed in. There was great feedback from the folks today. Thank you, Constantine, for joining today. Ashley, thanks for all the work you do. Again, you do a great job. Like Austin, thank you for the graphics. You make this stuff look great. And join us next week for another Stormwatch. Take care, everybody.
Bye.